Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, Speeding Disaster Recovery in the Clouds. My name is Jay. I'm with the Aryaka marketing team, and today we have with us Sunil Puri, Vice President of Marketing and Sales for Aryaka. Sunil will provide an overview of how you can fine-tune your DR. So also with us, we have Tim Van Herk, our Solutions Architect. Following Sunil's presentation, both Sunil and Tim will answer your questions in the QA session. If you have any questions during the course of the webinar, please click on the QA box located at the top right of your screen and direct your questions to the host. Again, we'll answer your questions following Sunil's presentation. Now, without further ado, let's hear from Sunil. Sunil has more than 16 years of experience with internet infrastructure, sales, and technical marketing. Previously, she headed business development and corporate strategy for the application business unit at Akamai. So, Sunil, over to you.
Let's get started here. So we're here to talk to you about Aryaka's WAN optimization as a service, and more specifically, how you can use that service to fine-tune your disaster recovery strategy. One of the key points that we've seen across our entire customer base is disaster recovery is kind of becoming an old-fashioned concept now, and most companies are realizing that having assets that are sitting stagnant and not getting used in an active scenario is not the ideal way for them to do things. So what's happening is that disaster recovery, from what we're seeing as trends, are morphing into more of a data replication strategy, which is why we use the term DR interchangeably between disaster recovery and data center replication, or just data replication across regions. More and more enterprises, and what they're choosing to do is use a real-time collaboration strategy to keep all of their content real-time updated between multiple locations, which is why the Aryaka solution plays in so well into this. So what I'll do is I'll talk about the overall Aryaka solution and then specifically talk about DR software like Oracle Data Guard or EMC Network or Symantec Backup and so on, the kinds of various, NetApp, SnapMirror, and the kinds of various software that companies use to keep their content across locations updated in real time. So looking at today's business challenges, you're all very familiar with the headquarters and branch office scenario of private links and appliances with the previous model of getting your wide area network optimized. When you start adding assets like data centers, multiple branch offices, multiple headquarters around the world, and add to that things like offshore facilities and cloud services, whether it is storage in the cloud or compute facilities in the cloud, the cost of keeping this distributed network and this distributed workforce connected gets higher, and productivity becomes lower because distance starts to play havoc into the enterprise network. Combine that with issues like your access methods that people use to access your solution, the centralized nature of what you need to do in terms of data centers and cloud services and their access, all of this in a secure way. The business challenges that IT departments face is becoming more and more severe. So if you start looking at the bottom line, the challenges that most IT departments within enterprises face is basic connectivity in some parts of the world is still a challenge. We take it for granted in regions like the US and UK, but in certain parts of the regions, just basic connectivity becomes a challenge. Add to that various applications, whether it's productivity applications or applications that allow you to do certain aspects of your business across various geographies is pretty challenging to make it more effective. The topic of our webinar today, which is disaster recovery or replication and migration of data, whether it's site to site or it's site to cloud, is things that we're all fighting with on a regular basis and trying to find better ways to do it, again, more real time without using up too much of the bandwidth or improving collaboration in that way. And then cloud access to cloud storage or to cloud compute facilities is key. If you can get a solution that addresses all of these challenges in one unified platform, you'd find your life becoming a lot easier over time. So let's kind of look at that and how Aryaka plays into it. Looking at this traditional enterprise and how they choose to solve a problem before Aryaka, if you look at the enterprise here, we're looking at headquarters to branch office. Now, these scenarios could also just be data center to data center or headquarters data centers to one data center and one branch. Irrespective of the location, what enterprises did in the past is they would buy private networks to connect all of these assets across the board, across the globe, and then even though you had a private network to connect these locations, the only thing you got was dedicated bandwidth, but you still threw more bandwidth at the problem as your content improved or increased. So what you ended up having to do is deploy multiple appliances on each end of the solution, WAN optimization appliances to be more specific, which allowed that data to flow more efficiently and in smaller packets and in a more intelligent way across this network. Now, this is a solution that has worked for more of an on-premise model. Multiple companies around the world use various sizes of appliances at each end between headquarters, branch offices, and data centers, put together this global unified network with private links, and deploy their applications or their DR strategy over this platform. To clarify, this solution works really well, except that a majority of the businesses don't have access to this kind of solution because it takes months to years to deploy. If you're looking at regions like a factory in China to be connected to a headquarters in New Jersey, to be connected to a branch office in Bangalore, it starts to become a challenge. What Aryaka does is takes this entire model and turns it on its head and says, as much as the solution works, we want to make it more simple and more affordable for enterprises of all sizes around the world. So what we do in this case is we eliminate the need for all of those appliances that you see at either end of the solution. We also eliminate the need for that private network in between, and we replace it with the Aryaka points of presence. All of the intelligence that you expect to see in an appliance model, things like TCP optimization or compression, deduplication, application level proxies, we've built all of that technology from the ground up to be truly multi-tenant and deployed in all of those locations around our points of presence in the world. Those points of presence are connected to each other using dedicated links across the board. And the software stack in between being truly multi-tenant allows us to collaborate for these customers in a truly secure way across our global platform. What the enterprises does is, using your existing internet link, you connect to us to our nearest point of presence. So if you have, for example, a headquarters in New Jersey, one of your data centers in China or Taiwan, and your second branch in, call it Bangalore, you now have a global unified network with an underlying private platform and software stack which gives you all of the WAN optimization piece. Irrespective of the application, right from voice to video to DR software, you're able to do it across this global platform across the world. And I'll get into more details about it in a second. So you've got your headquarters to pop, our core network itself, and then the core network to your edge. We use different kinds of technology at each end to be able to optimize this. And what I'll do is, if you have any specific questions around any of these pieces of technology, we'll take questions at the end on that. Summarizing the Aryaka benefits, if you look at our solution just in terms of a private network, you've got a network with end-to-end security and 5 classes of QoS where you can wait, prioritize, and reserve bandwidth across our core. Use it for applications like voice and video, real-time applications, and so on. Add to that things like TCP optimization on the WAN optimization side of it will give you 2 to 10x benefits. Certain applications like Oracle Data Guard, Semantic Backup, NetApp SnapMirror benefit tremendously just from TCP optimization alone. Add to that bandwidth scaling components like compression and deduplication, you're looking at 20 to 50 times more improvement for specific productivity applications, including access to cloud services like Amazon. Application level proxies like CIFS and MAPI and FTP, Print, and so on will give you up to 100x of performance improvement. And every network is different. Every application mix is different, which means that the kinds of benefits that every company gets will vary across the board. Now, this overall solution is not sold a la carte. It's actually sold as an entire platform. You get access to all of this functionality. It's packaged around a network that has all of the reliability and redundancy and elasticity built into it, which will always be more than any single enterprise can access themselves. We've got end-to-end visibility using our user portal, MyAryaka, with SLAs, and multiple NOCs around the world that give you 24/7 support to watch your network. So like I mentioned earlier, different applications will benefit in different ways from our platform. Certain companies use us purely for DR, like Oracle Data Guard, and you'll notice much higher link utilization using just the TCP optimization portion of the technology, and much improved data transfers, and we've got a few case studies I'll talk about in a second. Exchange replication across geography. You have multiple Exchange servers, or you have a master server sitting somewhere and you've got users around the world and you want to make sure the data is replicated, you're able to do that over the Aryaka network. And code check-in, check-out, Office 365 access, voice, video, all of the above in different ways will benefit from what we do. So let's take a quick look at our global POP network. You'll notice we're globally deployed across about 25 points of presence around the world. We've also got some Amazon facilities that we're connected to directly through our partnership with them, which allows you to have seamless access to Amazon compute resources as well using either EC2 or VPC, which allows us to expand our global reach there. And we have multiple levels of link and provider redundancy. We're in carrier-neutral facilities around all of these points of presence. We route around both sides of the world. So like I mentioned, any specific enterprise will not be able to get to this level of network reliability like we can get to. So if you take a step back, and I think we talked about this in a few other slides, where we're looking at your private-to-private network connectivity across your headquarters, branch offices, and data centers. We also provide you with your private-to-public access for SaaS-based applications that may reside anywhere in the world, whether they're in the cloud or they're specific SaaS vendors that have regional data centers. We can allow faster branch access to them. And then if you have public users that need to access private resources sitting in your data centers, we have that solution built into our platform as well. So if you look at Aryaka much beyond just WAN optimization, you're now looking at one platform or one network that can provide you with application acceleration across all your applications, irrespective of location. Companies work with us for different reasons, right from moving from IPVPN to the next generation of trying to collaborate, replacing our existing WAN optimization appliances. Companies like Aruba choose to do that. Replacing our MPLS links like Magnum Semiconductor. Just having integrated cloud access across their headquarters, data centers, and cloud resources. Companies like InMobi choose to do that across tens of locations around the world. Armstrong uses us for application performance for a productivity application called SolidWorks PDM. And companies like Dimension Data, which is OpSource, use us specifically for data replication across their multiple data centers. They are an infrastructure as a service provider and need to replicate on a per customer basis across geography. Given that our solution is truly multi-tenant, it's very helpful for them. And companies like Raritan actually do DR on our network, except that they do it between their headquarters in the US and their factory sitting in the Far East. And it allows them to actually just save on bandwidth. So various reasons why customers come to us, and over time they use the entire platform and they get all of the benefits that the other guys get. So let's look at specific case studies. I had alluded to this company called InMobi. InMobi is the world's largest independent app delivery network. They have large volumes of data replication across geographies, across multiple continents. And what they also need to do is use their development facilities to be able to access all of their data centers because they're pushing code out on a regular basis through their multi-POP solution. They also need to access cloud resources sitting in Amazon for additional compute power that they can turn up as their ad traffic increases. They have custom replication software that they've built for their own purposes, and that's what we accelerate across our globe. So you can see that we're able to provide them with a fully meshed network across all of their locations, all of their data centers, all of their branches, and all of their cloud services for data center traffic and for the backend that goes to it. Large volumes of data, they're doing about more than half a gig on our network today. Here's an example of Dimension Data. I talked about them briefly in our previous buying reasons slide, where without Aryaka, even though they had a gigabit per second link at each of their US East Coast and West Coast facility, because of the limitations of Oracle Data Guard itself and the way that the internet behaves with the 70 milliseconds of latency between these locations, their data guard replication was failing every 30 minutes. And with Aryaka, we were able to just increase their throughput with TCP optimization alone to the 100 megabits per second, which they were subscribing to us. So they're now able to deliver on the SLAs that they promised their customers. Again, various applications that are used for DR across the board. So EMC Networker, with Aryaka was 70 times faster. Like I mentioned, in some cases, it's TCP optimization alone that gives these benefits. If we can do things like compression and dedupe, depending on the kind of traffic, we're able to do that as well. But phenomenal improvements across the board. And then Microsoft Exchange over here, again, you're seeing the Exchange replication ran 10 times faster in this customer's case, and the overall data traffic was reduced by 90% because of the deduplication technology, which allowed us to not transfer duplicate data across geography. So I'll take a pause here and share with you our list of customers across the board and companies that are using us. We've talked about a few examples. You'll notice a number of high-tech companies, a number of companies in manufacturing, logistics, management consulting, architecture, engineering, and construction, and so on. A lot of them are using us not just for disaster recovery, but for a global platform to do headquarters and branch office acceleration, to do data center to data center or headquarters to data center replication, and to replicate from on-premise to the cloud. So one platform that allows you to do all of the above with one solution. We are obviously recognized by a number of leading vendors, including Gartner across the world. Structure has recognized us as one of the leading vendors that will redefine the cloud revolution. So again, talking about on-premise to cloud, we're able to do that very seamlessly. And that's all I have today in terms of the content on sharing, how you can use the Aryaka platform to accelerate your DR strategy and fine-tune it in a very unique and very different way. But we're happy to take questions at this point, and thank you so much for all of your time.
Thank you, Sonal. Now let's jump to the Q&A with Sonal and Tim. If you do have a question, please type it into the Q&A box and direct it to the host, and then click send. Okay, I see Dave has a question. Can you elaborate a little bit more about how do you provide security?
So we allow you to connect to the network and on-ramp data to the network through an IPsec tunnel. So the last mile will typically go over the internet, and by means of an IPsec tunnel, we will allow you to ingress the traffic into our network. And throughout the core of the network, we also provide encryption, so there is end-to-end security throughout the network.
Okay, let's see. Okay, we have a question from Jody. What compression rate can I expect with Oracle DataGuard?
So Oracle DataGuard, we have multiple customers, of course, using Oracle DataGuard, and we see consistently about 70% data reduction rates and higher. And to even expand on that one, it actually doesn't really matter which database application is in use, or regardless which vendor you'll be using. So about 70% is the typical compression rate that we're achieving with database applications.
I see we have a question from Jason. Can I connect to an Oracle Managed Services data center?
Yes, that is absolutely possible. So Oracle Managed Services actually also mandate that you connect with IPsec tunnel, so it's a very natural fit on the way Aryaka actually delivers services to branches. And we can immediately integrate with the OMS service with Oracle and connect an IPsec tunnel. We will work with the Oracle team to set up those tunnels and provide seamless access to all of the branches that are already connected to the Aryaka network.
We have a question from Janet. I own several WAN optimization appliances. Can I still use them?
Yes, you can. So Aryaka solution actually works in conjunction or in parallel with existing appliances. Especially we can deploy Aryaka at sites where deploying a hardware appliance is cost prohibitive. And in those cases, we can still ensure that you can connect to the headquarters where there is already an appliance in place.
Okay, so we're getting near towards the bottom of the hour, so we have time for maybe two more questions. Okay, Omar wants a little bit more elaboration about compression. Can you talk about compression with data deduplication?
Sure. So Aryaka actually developed a technology from the ground up. It's called ARR, which is short for Advanced Redundancy Removal. and is a stream-oriented or byte-level oriented mechanism that is eliminating redundant data patterns out of streams. And it's storing those into encrypted partitions on our POP locations to make sure that we can reinsert those streams or reinsert that data once it arrives at the site. So that particular technology will ensure that you won't need to send all the data over your WAN infrastructure, and that there is only a small subset of the data that needs to go over the physical links.
Okay, we have time for one final question, and okay, can I try out your solution? How much does it cost, and how in-depth is the trial?
Absolutely. So we do have a free trial available that is usually for a 1-week trial that we set out to do. And it's a full functional trial. So we will make sure that we can connect 2 of your sites and you will get all the functionality, all the proxy functionality during that trial. And at that time, you will be able to see what the benefits are for your specific applications that you're going to be running through those links.
All right, thank you, Tim and Sunil. That wraps up the presentation for today. Again, we will be sending you a link to the recorded presentation. I want to thank you all for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.